Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. Nothing really prepares you for the moment someone you love looks you in the face and says, "I just need space to figure myself out," and you want to believe them, thinking it's temporary, only to realize they went to be with someone else. That's what happened between my girlfriend and me. She wasn't expecting what I'd do next. My name is Martin. I met my girlfriend, Natasha, when I was still in college, and for a while, I really believed she was the one. We ended up being together for 4 years. It was a relationship I genuinely poured myself into. And maybe that's why what happened later hit me the way it did. Before Natasha, I'd been through a handful of relationships, and let's just say, emotional situations that never led anywhere good. Either the connection wasn't there, or the effort was too one-sided, or people just weren't honest about what they wanted. After a while, I started to feel like maybe love just wasn't in the cards for me. So, when Natasha came into the picture, it was like someone had finally exhaled after holding their breath for too long. I fell hard for her. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I loved her with everything I had. Even when work got hectic, I carved out time for her. I wanted her to feel seen, appreciated, and supported. Eventually, it made sense for her to move in with me. I really thought we were building something that could last. But here's the thing. Sometimes when you're deep in it, it's easy to miss the subtle signs. I remember one of my close friends pulling me aside one day. He just said something simple. "Martin, it kind of seems like you love her more than she loves you. Just be careful, all right?" I brushed it off immediately. I laughed and said he didn't know her like I did, that I had it handled. And truthfully, I believe she was just a bit reserved and that I understood her in a way no one else could. After dating Natasha for nearly 4 years, I thought I understood her. I thought I could read her. But nothing prepared me for the way things changed after we visited her parents. I had it all planned out. When we visited her parents, I was preparing to propose. I had a ring. I wasn't going to propose at their house yet. But I wanted to get her parents' blessing, meet them, get a feel for her background, then come back and ask her to spend forever with me. The visit itself was fine. Her parents were warm, polite, and even welcoming. I didn't sense any friction. No side eyes, no awkward questions. I walked away thinking, all right, this is a green light. But almost immediately after we got back, something changed in Natasha. She got distant, less affectionate, and less present. Her phone was her new best friend, and conversations with me became short, like I was inconveniencing her. At first, I chalked it up to women being women, or maybe something unrelated. But this wasn't a one-day mood. It stretched into days. A whole week of silent dinners, cold responses, and no real engagement with me. I'd sit next to her, and it felt like I was sitting next to a stranger. So that weekend, I decided to stop pretending like I didn't feel the chill in the air. I asked her as gently as I could, "Hey, what's going on? You've been off lately." She looked at me like I was making stuff up. Said, "Nothing." And that really messed with me. It was like she was trying to convince me that what I was seeing and feeling wasn't real. I was being gaslit. She knew she was being different. She just didn't want to admit it. And rather than drag it into a full-blown argument, I told her, "Okay," and let it go. But inside, I couldn't shake the feeling that's building up. Then the next day, as I was still sitting with that unease, she told me she was going to her parents' house, and that she wouldn't be coming back for a while. At first, I thought maybe she just needed a breather. But when she said she wanted a break, didn't want any contact while she was away, that was the red flag I couldn't ignore. So I asked her, "Why no contact? If you're just figuring yourself out, why can't we check in?" And she looked me dead in the eye and said, "It's about me. I just feel lost lately. Please respect that." And again, in that moment, I didn't want to argue. I didn't want to force someone to stay who wasn't sure they wanted to be here in the first place. So I said okay. I respected it. That first week, it tore me up. I kept wondering if I missed signs. Was I too pushy? Did I not listen enough? Did I overwhelm her? I started blaming myself, thinking maybe she was facing something heavy internally. Family problems, burnout, mental health. And because I loved her, I stayed back. I honored that distance. I figured, when she's ready, she'll talk to me, and maybe we can work through it together. But then one evening, I had just gotten home from work. After eating, I grabbed my phone, went on Instagram, and just scrolled through like I always did to relax. Then I saw a post from her mom. A whole carousel of vacation pictures. The caption said something like, "Much needed escape with my favorite people, 2 hearts, hashtag family first, hashtag blessed life." I scrolled through casually at first, thinking maybe they went on a retreat or something. But then I stopped cold when I saw Natasha with a big smile on her face, standing on a beach, drink in hand, and wrapped up in the arms of a man I recognized too well. Her high school ex. His arm was around her waist. Her hand was resting comfortably on his chest. They looked like a couple on vacation. Now here's the part she didn't know. I was following her mom. She had no idea. Months ago, during her mom's birthday, Natasha tagged her, and I decided to follow her. I doubt she even remembered. As I stared at that photo, I kept wondering how we got here. A week ago, I was blaming myself, thinking I broke something. Meanwhile, she was out on a beach, arms locked with a man she once swore she had outgrown. When I confronted her in the past about still being in touch with him, she played it down, saying that he was the one reaching out. She told me she didn't have any feelings for him anymore. And I believed her. But now, with that picture burned into my mind, I knew better. I wasn't even mad at the photo itself. I was mad at the betrayal of trust. The manipulation. The fact that her parents, who knew I was her boyfriend, were okay with parading her ex around on a trip while I sat at home trying to figure out where I went wrong. It wasn't just a break. It was a lie wrapped in a pretty excuse. And in that moment, I just knew she had already left me. She just didn't have the courage to say it out loud. That night, I didn't sleep a wink. I tossed and turned, trying to make sense of everything. Was I really that easy to walk away from? Was our 4-year relationship worth so little that she could just switch me off like a light? But by the time the sun came up, I had made my decision. I wasn't going to sit around begging for explanations. I wasn't going to call because I'd done nothing wrong, and I refused to let her turn me into someone chasing after closure that she was never going to give. Instead, I got up, walked into the living room, and began gathering her stuff. Everything. Her shoes, her hair products, her favorite mug, even the little notes we used to leave for each other on the fridge. I boxed all of it. Not out of spite. Out of necessity. Because if she could disappear like that, smiling in another man's arms, then I could choose to disappear from her life too. I printed out a shipping label with her parents' address, paid extra for tracking, and selected the option that required a signature on delivery. I wanted her to sign for it. I wanted her to physically receive the message I wasn't going to say out loud. We're done. And when I sealed the last box, taped it up, and handed it off to the courier, I felt something shift inside me. It hurt. But it also felt like I was reclaiming a piece of myself she had slowly taken for granted. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was her. And just like I expected, she wasn't apologetic. She was angry. Furious even. She asked me why I'd sent her stuff. She said it was embarrassing. That if I wanted her out, I could have just told her. I let her talk. Every word. I didn't interrupt or defend myself. I just listened. And when she was done, I said only this: enjoy your life. Then I hung up. That was the moment it all truly ended. After the breakup, I didn't say a word to anyone. I kept it all to myself because I needed space to sit with what I was feeling. And honestly, I didn't have the energy to explain a betrayal I was still trying to process. The idea of retelling everything, answering 100 questions, or hearing pity from people I'd have to see every day. That felt like salt in a wound. So I chose silence. I threw myself into work, into routine, into anything that helped me not think about her. But healing isn't linear. Some mornings I felt okay, like maybe I was starting to feel normal again. Other days, I'd wake up with a pit in my stomach for no clear reason. But even through all that, I held the line. I didn't reach out or check her page. I didn't fall into the trap of hoping for closure or one last conversation. I knew where that road led, and I had no intention of going backward. Then, nearly 2 months later, I got a simple message from her: I miss you. I stared at it for a while because of how familiar it felt. But I didn't reply. I just left it on read. The silence that followed must have rattled her, Because more texts came. Why did you end the relationship? Please just say something. Still, I said nothing. My peace was finally growing, and I wasn't going to let her words pull me back into confusion. When she asked if we could meet up, I told her no. When she asked if I could at least pick up her calls, I told her flat out to go be with her guy. That's when it clicked for her. That I knew. That realization opened the floodgates. She started sending voice notes one after another, saying her parents pressured her into spending time with her ex. That they preferred him because he was from their world. That they'd always hoped she'd go back to him. She claimed it wasn't her choice, that she was just going along with it because of the pressure. She said she never actually wanted him. I listened, and then I asked one simple question. So it took you 2 months to realize you didn't want him? Silence on her end. I told her to stay away from me, that I was over her, over the lies, over the noise. I just drew a line that I should have drawn earlier. She sent one last voice note, sobbing, begging me to forgive her, but I was done hearing it. I deleted the messages, blocked her number, and sat there in that stillness. By the time the dust settled and the emotional noise died down, I found myself sitting with my thoughts. I won't lie to you and pretend that it didn't hurt. It did. Being left without real closure, watching someone I loved trade our history for comfort with someone from her past, that kind of thing messes with your sense of self. I've had a lot of time to think. So here are things I learned from this whole mess. 1. If someone asks for space, give it, but don't stand frozen in place. I respected Natasha's request for a break. I gave her exactly what she asked for. But in doing that, I also gave myself time to see the truth. If someone walks away from you, don't just wait for them to come back. You're allowed to keep living, keep growing, and most importantly, keep healing. 2. Never ignore the small warnings, especially from people who care. That friend who once told me I loved her more than she loved me, he wasn't judging. He was trying to protect me. Sometimes the people around you can see what you're too emotionally invested to notice. It doesn't mean they're always right, but you shouldn't always be so quick to dismiss what they're saying, either. 3. Loyalty should never feel like one-sided labor. I poured into our relationship like it was a garden we were both tending. Turns out, I was the only one watering it. And that's a lonely place to be, especially when you don't realize it until it's too late. Love should be mutual. Effort should be mutual. If it feels lopsided, it probably is. 4. Closure is something you give yourself. She never gave me answers. Never sat down to explain or even apologize in a way that felt real. And for a while, that left a hole. But I learned something important. You don't need their words to move on. You need to make your own decision. I decided I was done, and that gave me peace. That gave me closure. 5. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. People talk about fighting for love, but sometimes the real strength is in knowing when to stop fighting. When to say, this isn't what I deserve. Blocking her wasn't about revenge. It was about protecting my mind, my heart, and my future. That was the strongest thing I've done in a long time. I've got no intention of going back. I meant it when I said I'm over her. I'm still healing, yeah. Healing doesn't follow a timeline. Some days are better than others. And maybe that's enough for now. So if you're watching this and you're in that place where everything hurts and nothing makes sense, I hope you remember this. It does get better. You will come out the other side. And when you do, you'll see yourself more clearly than you ever did before. Thanks for listening.